Welcome in to another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. I'm Bennett Conlon, joined by Jack Fitzpatrick. And Jack, it is portal season.
Woo! Woo!
Woo!
I hate this portal season. Like, this is the dumb portal season. Not because it's just like 10 days and it's like, oh, you don't like what you heard at spring ball? You have one more shot to leave. Like that tight end from Ball State who's like back in the portal after never playing a snap because he wants his is the case of like wanting more money. That one's just like, what are we doing?
Weird stuff at Wisconsin, too. Do you see Luke Fickell was like alluding to him in another transfer and basically said, like, this is a grown ass man's league. If you're not built for it, like, get out.
No, I didn't see
Implying
that.
that the 6'7", like, future NFL tight end is soft is bold.
I also really enjoy what's happening at Cal right now with the entire running back room joining the
Brutal.
portal. Five running
Brutal.
backs joined them. Meanwhile, JMU somehow has maintained at the time of recording 11:43 a.m. Eastern here in Richmond, Virginia, Baltimore,
Mhm.
Maryland on the other, or I guess not, you're technically not Baltimore. You just work for the Baltimore Sun. 11:43 a.m. in the Eastern time zone here when I'm saying this.
That's right.
Somehow have kept together their entire running. JMU has kept together the entire running back room.
We'll see if that stays. But hey, pretty good. Pretty
Pretty
good
good
so
so
far.
far. Jinx.
Jinx. They lose Ymir Knight. He was probably is he the one notable guy? Was there another? I guess, well, we could say that our guy, Jeremiah Mawali. What's your
Yeah.
favorite Mawali memory in Harrisonburg?
My favorite Mawali Harrisonburg memory is me pulling up his tape from D2 Valdosta
Yeah.
State and falling in love with him and thinking that
Yeah.
he was going to be an absolute problem at left tackle. And then it turns out that the only offers he's getting in the portal is Mercer. So that's cool. I'm
Is
a
that
good
right?
judge. I only saw Mercer so far.
Huh.
And it's gonna go look at it. So
So anyway, yeah. So he was on the team for spring. You're right. Yeah,
yes.
he posted Mercer. That's odd. I
So
don't know what
pretty
happened, but he's back in the portal.
I imagine he may have been like a you're not getting playing, not
Yeah.
necessarily because I think some of these guys, and we'll I guess we'll break it down throughout the show starting now. Some of these guys are cuts. Like, let's not sugarcoat it.
Yes.
Some of these dudes were told you're never going to play here. Maybe you will be cut if this house settlement comes down, so you can enter the portal now and get ahead of that. And so I think that's what a lot of these guys are. Jeremiah Mawali may have been a hey, you're going to be like tackle 3 and
Yeah.
be like a swing tackle who plays like a snap here and there. And he may have been like, yeah, thanks but no thanks. I'm going to hit the portal. And then Ymir, I think my read on the Ymir situation is he wasn't guaranteed the starting spot because Jalen Sanchez has it played primarily slot at Villanova. Nick DeGennaro from Richmond has some slot experience. Mikey Joystick, what's his last name?
Scott, Michael Scott.
Mikey, that's right. Mikey Joystick Scott is getting rave reviews from everyone, and he's kind of a slot receiver. So Ymir may have been told, look, you're not guaranteed this. Who knows what he's hearing in NIL world? Maybe he can get the same amount of money and a guaranteed starting spot if he hops in the portal. That's kind of my read on the Ymir situation. I don't know if he was necessarily going to be wide receiver one this year, and he wanted to be. So who knows?
Yeah, he could get a bag somewhere. He's got your GSE boys representing him.
Have you seen so a peek behind the curtain a little bit? GSE, an agency based out of New York City. If you ever work for them, don't. I imagine they treat their clients well, but they don't treat their employees well in any way, shape, or form. They actually do a really good bait and switch where they tell you you're a fully remote worker, and then the day you're hired, you're told you're fully in the office and you're not allowed to work from home ever. Still, like during COVID, like in 2021, while you're doing that while you're being forced to work in the office, your boss is actually located in London and doesn't work in the office at all. So it's just you sitting by yourself in an office cubicle, having to call your boss on WhatsApp every 5 minutes to get her approval forever. Sorry, this is besides the point. So GSE, do you see their strategy is like we're just going to represent all of these G5 kids.
They have a million kids in the portal.
Not shocking because they are known for telling their clients to go after money. If you look at their
Yes.
PGA Tour or ex PGA Tour
Right.
golfers, their entire golf client list are like the big names who went to live.
Yeah.
DeChambeau, Joaquin Neiman. I think they have Patrick Cantlay. Um, is Cantlay on live? He
No,
might
but
not be.
is he a GSE boy?
I think he might be or no, I'm mixing him up with Kokrak.
Yeah, Coke Rack Labs.
Kokrak's live. So just some fun stuff. Just a peek behind the GSC curtain.
Yeah, interesting collection of agents. So Ymir Knight maybe get in the bag somewhere. I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense for him in some ways because like maybe not an NFL player at like 5'8", which could be generous, right? Like that's hard to be an NFL guy at that height unless you're running like a 4.2. He strikes me more like a 4.4 guy.
Fair.
So like go get your money now because it might not be an NFL future. You never know, but it's harder when you're undersized.
I did take a trip down memory lane yesterday. I was scrolling through the JMU to the house Instagram page and
Yeah,
all the reels we were posting. Can't wait for that to go up. That live show at Three Notched was
that was good
electric.
stuff.
Fortunately, Bennett, you weren't there, but fine, whatever. It was
But I
really fun.
listened.
You listened. It was really fun over there at Three Notch. We're gonna try and get maybe another live show of JMU Sports News, maybe another live show of To the House throughout football season. Um, Adam is awesome to work with at Three Notch. Despite them not being a full-time sponsor of the show, they're still super, super nice to work with. Great event space. They've got an event coming up this weekend, like a little music festival in their parking lot called
Nice.
Blue Lagoon. Highly recommend you check that out if you're in the Harrisonburg area this weekend. Um, so scrolling through to the house stuff. And Delvin, I forgot Delvin made a bold proclamation about Ymir, and now I get why he texted us sad about Ymir leaving. He said Ymir could have broken his punt return yardage record.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. No shot at it anymore.
Hard to do when you're not on the team. But he was a good player, led JMU in receptions last year. So I think it's fine kind of both ways. Like, I don't think anyone's going to look at the 2025 season and be like, yeah, JMU can't make the college football playoff or win the Sun Belt because Jameer Knight is leaving. Right? He's not like a foundational player necessarily, but he is
He's
very
no
good.
he's no Joby Mallory.
He's not a Joby type, but he is very good. He'll go somewhere and probably produce, but he's also replaceable in some way. So it makes sense for him to go get some money. It makes sense for JMU to not, want to try to throw an excessive amount of their funding toward him when they have other guys who can probably replace that production.
Yeah, the sad part about this portal period, especially because most of it is players that are like I think 13 of the 15 that have entered, you could say are told that you might want to explore other options.
Yeah.
Like it's a real bummer to see like Roy Thomas go
Yeah.
into the portal because I don't think this was him choosing to. He was a three-star edge out of Florida, so maybe he chose to, but like he just got here in January. He
Right.
decided to enroll early to work through the spring practices, and now he's having to find a new home. So we'll see. Maybe Evan Spivey is another one that wanted more playing time and is going to go look for it because his list of offers is pretty solid with group of five teams. But like the Roy Mars of the world, the Marcellus Nashes of the world, it's guys that's just like, man, that's a bummer.
It is. And then there's some like, and I don't want to butcher his last name, but it's like Samson Ugande or
Yeah,
Uganad. I think it's more like Uganad for how it's spelled. But anyway, he came in as
Samson.
an he came in as an edge. Like he was in at like 220 pounds and they made him a defensive tackle. Like he put on like 75 or 80 pounds to become like a 300 plus pound defensive tackle. Pretty good athlete. Like, I mean, that's a huge body change that he went through to try to like fit what they wanted him to do. And then to be like, yeah, it's not gonna work out here is kind of tough. Like he seemed sad in his like goodbye note. It seemed like he loved JMU. So to go through that where like over 2 or 3 years you like purposefully gain 80 pounds and like change your position and then to not have a spot sucks.
I'll also say this because I've seen some people and I've heard some people say like, well, if they love JMU so much, why don't they stay? Like just as a student. And for a lot of these kids, a scholarship might be the only way they can attend
Yeah,
college, and they don't want to go into massive amounts of student loan debt.
right.
And so, like, yeah, like with Samson, he probably does love JMU and it probably does stink. And like that's an added layer to it where he now has to leave a school that he has grown fond of friendships that he has outside of the football field. And he has to enter the portal and find a new school that will help pay him for his education. Like this is kind of the sad side of what's coming with the house settlement.
Yeah, it's not great. And like they have to do it because they have to manage the roster limit and make sure that of the 105 players they'll have on their team, like they feel pretty good about all of them either developing into someone who plays or being someone who plays or being like a huge scout team contributor. So like Chesney has to do it because it's his job. It's just unfortunate and like a weird situation. And yeah, I'd be quick to jump on players when you're like, oh, there's no loyalty. These guys aren't loyal. It's like, well, a lot of the guys in the portal probably wanted to stay or would have liked to have stayed, and it just didn't work out for him. Like, I don't know, Evan Spivey's pretty good based on his offer list. It just seemed like maybe he wasn't going to get immediate playing time at corner.
Yeah. Like it's just something to keep in mind of because they're being forced. And just a quick recap again, the house settlement, we'll see what happens, but the judge last Tuesday gave them what she said was a week to present the answers to the questions that she asked. But something that the judge did say last Tuesday about the house settlement was maybe we don't do the hard caps on rosters immediately. Maybe we wean that and kind of grandfather it in and slowly but surely over like the course of a couple of years get it down to that hard cap at 105, where the NCAA said no, we have to have it at 105. Was an interesting kind of back and forth. That was one of the holdups that the judge had. But um, JMU's preparing, a lot of schools around the country are preparing it for it to be that hard cap at 105. Reports are that they will offer 85 full scholarships and then they'll have 20, I guess, partial or non scholarship players to fill out the rest of the roster.
Yeah. So we'll see exactly how it plays out, but you can kind of tell with some of these guys that like there were probably some conversations right after spring ball that were like, hey, like you could be a potential cut, or like you just don't have a path to playing time. Maybe not this year, maybe not ever. So then they kind of look elsewhere for obvious reasons. It's a weird time. The spring this year, especially, is a weird time. So 15 transfer departures right now for JMU, and like one of the 15, maybe one and a half of the 15 are guys who like we're gonna play.
Yeah. And they've only replaced it with one person
Right. They brought in a defensive tackle who we interviewed from
over on our
Colgate.
JMU Sports News YouTube.
Good player.
Honestly, we played the long game with Colgate, right? We may have lost to them twice in the playoffs. I get it. But the long game, you know what it is? It's starting to chip away, pull some of their best talent away. We break them in from the inside out. Then we destroy them, and then we win the long game.
It is crazy too to hear some of the transfers who are like, yeah, I never imagined like a team like JMU would recruit me. It's like, wow, the program has really risen a lot in the last like decade. Because it was like, Everett Withers, like you can't get a tackle losing to Colgate in the playoffs to now like one of Colgate's best players is like, I can't believe they want me on their roster.
Yeah, so who actually won those playoff games, Colgate? That's all I'm saying.
10 years later, your defensive tackle's gone.
And he said, "We're great, and you stay." Just kidding, he didn't say that. But going after a lot of linebackers in the portal and
Yeah.
going after a couple wide receivers, adding that wide receiver depth, with I think, which is now I think more of a question with Ymir leaving, getting some of that depth. But linebacker depth is definitely something that is very needed.
Yeah, it looks like they want a starting caliber linebacker. They have a million receivers. It's interesting that they're going to go get another like one or two starting
Well,
caliber
I guess they do,
receivers.
right? Dylan Williams, Mikey Scott, the young guys that have a lot of like a lot of hype around them. Then you got the trio starters, and Chesney didn't show a lot of 4 or 5 wide receiver sets
Yeah.
last year. It was a lot of 3 wide receivers, and you have that with Jalen Sanchez, Landon Ellis, Nick DeGennaro. Dylan Williams can battle with Landon Ellis. Mikey Scott can battle with Jalen Sanchez at the slot. Maybe you want a guy to work and to compete with Nick DeGennaro because I don't know if you necessarily have that on
Is
your roster.
Collins in that spot?
And then
Smoke?
And then there's
from
Smoke Zeron Collins, who's just a big play machine. I forgot
Mhm.
about Zeron Collins.
Right? They got
It-
so many dudes
It's
now.
maybe
They also have some of those like guys like Jaden Mines has been around forever and done some
Troy
stuff on
Lewis.
Troy Lewis feels like he's been around forever and they like consistently have great springs. They gave
Is
Mines like an end around last year. He took it for like 25 yards. Like they it's a lot of bodies, but they're recruiting some like FCS guys who would, be in the mix. Then they've got a Maryland transfer visiting who would fill in for the slot, but has also like been a starting kick returner and punt returner there. So that would check those boxes pretty quick.
Yeah, because Ymir was the return man, so
Yeah.
that is a bummer losing him in that
Yes.
respect. Um, Linebackers, on the other hand, they need it because it's Trent Hendrick, Gannon Weathersby, and then they've brought in JT Kwame Yao, the Division II Shepherd transfer, um, and then outside of that, who am I missing? Brandon Feek,
Our boy, Die. They've like after that, it's
Trayshawn
like these
Dye,
like
yeah,
redshirt freshmen that are like super talented, but I don't know if they're necessarily ready for like a borderline starting role.
yeah. So they're going out looking to add, I think, some competition for Trent and Gannon, but
Yeah.
also add some key depth for the guys that maybe to give the redshirt freshman and JT Kwame Yao maybe a little bit more opportunity to learn. That was what very similar to what they did with the secondary last year too. They
Yes.
they went through spring ball. They were like, oh, Chase Regan and KJ Flo are going to be very good.
Yeah.
But we also need Chris Sheeran and Ray Williams, so we
Yeah.
don't have to play KJ Flo in the fourth quarter of a very close game, and he needs to know every single little part of this coverage. We can have him on the sidelines, and he can learn for a year, which I think has worked out well. And now Chase Regan, KJ Flo, we're big special teamers, and are expected to take on a larger role this year.
Makes sense to me. It's, you don't want to overreact to what's going on in April, and a lot can still happen. But I think it's going to be very disappointing if they don't win a Sun Belt championship. I'm going to put those expectations out there. Like the roster as it currently
Delvin did the same
stands,
thing. Delvin said college football playoff.
it's a great roster for the G5 level. Like it just really is. They're loaded at multiple positions. They're deep at multiple positions. And unlike last year when in the spring portal it was like, oh, I want to add a lot of competition and a lot of things. It's like you need like one linebacker and a receiver, and you did it. Like they don't need a lot in the spring portal.
You know what's shocking to me in this spring portal time as well? No quarterbacks have been pushed out.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
They're taking six, as it stands right now, taking six QBs.
Doesn't that
Six,
feel
feel
doesn't
like
that
that's
feel
a
a
little
little
overkill.
reckless if you have 105 players?
Feels a little odd because, like, Billy could have left and then he decided to come back as a redshirt senior. Felt like that was an opportunity for Chesney to maybe pull him aside and be like, hey, bud, this was fun.
But
We,
I mean, he's a pretty good player, as we saw in the bowl game.
I guess, but
But
we
he's going to
also
be QB like what?
five.
3, 4, 5? Yeah, he's way down the depth chart, despite being like could start for an FCS school. Like no questions asked.
It's so very odd. Like the fact that Blake Kendall is still there, Billy's still there, JC's still there. In general, interesting that they're still carrying six quarterbacks going into the season. We'll see if that holds true.
I wonder if you add a seventh or an eighth in the spring.
Maybe a ninth or a tenth.
Do you go an all quarterback roster, all quarterback offense, where it's just, lateral, 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 forward pass?
Randomly just thrown in there. Who's catching that forward pass? Alonzo Barnett?
Who could say? It's
Who
up to
knows?
Chesney. It's up to the coaches.
So something that is funny to me though in the spring portal, and we hear it often when players enter the portal, is like, what happened to loyalty in today's college football world? I like to cheer for the Cole Pottses and the Tanner Morrises who stuck it out all 4 years. That just doesn't happen in college football anymore, Bennett. It always makes me
Well,
chuckle because, yeah, well, I mean, you look at the offensive line specifically, and you've got, Riley Robel and Josh Toner and Joseph Simmons, who are young, but have shown loyalty to the program despite being very good players, have stuck with it the last couple of years. And, you know, you look out to, you look over to the defensive side, and you got Trent Hendrick, who is going into his senior year and has been a key contributor every year. And you look at Gannon Weathersby, and while I will say he's not a senior, has been a contributor. Then you look at the secondary and you see Chauncey Logan and Justin Eaglin and Jacob Thomas, and those are some guys that have stuck around for quite some time as well. And um, yeah, sure, Cole Potts and Tanner Morris, that story was force fed down our throats that they are Dukes through and through, which is awesome. And we just haven't been force fed that like we're, what is pate made out of? Duck liver that are force fed and made to be fat so that the liver's even better. We're not the ducks that they make pate out of. We haven't been force fed the stories of Jacob Thomas being a true lover of dukedom, or Trent Hendrick. We're being told Trent Hendrick's a leader, which is awesome. I would hope he is. But sometimes there's still loyalty in college football.
Yeah, it is a little funny with some of the guys. Chauncey Logan's been he's gonna be like a 4-year starter at this point, man. He's
A literal 4 years. Now I know he did join the portal for 2 hot seconds. That's because his coach left.
right. They've got a lot of guys who have been around. They also have like some transfers who stay for multiple years. Like Emmanuel Bush is going into year 3, seems to love it in Harrisonburg. So like there's a lot of guys who have been around for a long time. And there's also some new guys. There's also some transfers. But yeah, it is funny when it's like there's no loyalty. It's not like a 100-man transfer roster.
Like last year, I can get the argument a little bit because like you look across and you're like, Eric O'Neal was a top performer, Kyrie Mans was a top performer, but even Alonzo stuck around through being benched
Right.
last year and was like the story of the start of the season.
Well,
I
and
o-
people hated him. Like when you talk about like I root for loyalty, like no, you don't. You root for good players. People got so mad at Alonzo when he like didn't play well, like through sprained ankles.
I remember, yeah, hearing the things that were said about Alonzo in the stands at times. You're like, what are you saying?
Some some crazy stuff.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
The portal stuff's very funny, yeah, because people get really upset and then well, it happens the same way too, because JMU is not like a top end P4 where like you're gaining guys immediately because whoever enters the portal, you have a chance to get, which is not true for JMU. So they have some guys leave and then they look through the portal and then they add some really nice players that fit what they're doing, but it takes a little bit longer. So it's the cycle every like winter and spring, right? It's like, what is going on? No loyalty. And then like in the next week or two, Jamie's about to add like 3 to 5 starting caliber players to perfect this loaded roster. And fans are gonna be like, this is awesome. It's home. You're home now. You're home
But
now, boys.
with that being said, what is basketball doing? What are we doing? No one. There's been no one. There's no loyalty nowadays in college
There's
basketball.
no,
What are
yeah,
we
well,
doing?
college basketball players, different story. No loyalty, except for the ones who have stayed. Eddie Ricks, loyal to Preston Spradlin.
Will Lovings Watts, loyal.
Loyal.
Justin Taylor.
Loyal for now. So, no, but it's the portal is crazy, man. But men's basketball's been slow, 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 slow.
What, 3 visits and they've been rumored to talk with like 6 others?
Some visits, they've contacted some people. I don't know. Like, let's add some superstars.
I don't see why I don't see why we didn't go and get Donovan Dent.
Go get these conference player of the years.
Bro, why didn't we get Xavier Lee, the Princeton guard? I
That one I
people
found weird. Yeah.
People always say, I hear it all the time, wherever you go, the Atlanta airport, I could be in Sacramento,
Yeah.
Vancouver, London, England. And you know what people always say to me about JMU? Always say, no matter what, it does not fail every single time.
Public Ivy.
Public Ivy, you guys are the Princeton of the South.
Hmm.
And so it just made sense that Xavier Lee would come to the Princeton of the South.
Yeah,
Weird that he chose
weird.
Florida. I know they're
Yeah.
national champions, but
Yeah, that's another thing with kids these days where they don't want to earn national championships. They want to go to schools that already have them and then act like they're a champion. JMU has no national championships in basketball, not even close.
not even close.
So if you're a true
Oh, they were
dog,
close. No, no, no. I take that back. They were close that one time. Remember, hang the banner for almost beating Michael Jordan in the NCAA tournament that one time.
I thought you were going to say the Duke game where like a couple of shots bounce their way, Friedel gets hot.
Or even that UNC, that was the UNC game, not Duke.
No, Duke, that's another one in the
Oh,
tournament
the
where
Duke
if he
tournament
gets
game.
hot in
I
that one. But
I thought
yeah,
you
if he
meant
gets hot in both of
I
those,
thought you meant the UNC
then
game
he
at the
slays
Dean Dome.
UNC and then he
Yeah.
also slays Duke.
Yeah.
He just wasn't hot.
Yeah. What were we saying?
Men's basketball has been slow though. So like they haven't had anybody in the portal, have they?
Although, no, but they got Christian Brown and Preston Fowler coming in.
Yeah,
But
they do have some dogs coming in.
if they get Carmelo Pacheco, the Mount St. Mary's transfer, dude's just like a bucket from long range,
Oh my
46%
gosh. Yeah,
three-point
we
shooter.
like that. We like
Ah,
that.
sign me up. The Harrisonburg native told us he visited last Monday or Monday of this week.
Monday this week, yeah.
So he's visited. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a committed graphic come across our Twitter timelines here shortly.
Yeah, so they're working the stuff. I'm okay with them going a little bit slower because I thought last year I was super excited about what Spradlin brought in and it didn't gel even a little bit. So I'm okay with
What do
them
you
like
mean?
try,
Were there reported fights on the bench that we didn't hear about until the players entered the portal?
so we'll see how that all works out, but I
Huh.
think they'll be a little bit
I
more
don't recall.
cohesive this year.
I don't recall that. I don't recall any fights and benchings because players were late for practice that we didn't hear about until after the season ended. Weird. If we
It
they do
was
need some
weird.
size. They do need some
Yeah,
size.
they need a big or two.
Or four. Just play an all big lineup. They talk about small ball being the way of basketball, you know. No, big ball. We won't play big ball. Just 4 7-footers and get Carmelo Pacheco out there.
That would be
Really,
kind of sick, yeah.
really helps with spacing.
It's the only guy doing any spacing. Yeah, I like that option. So they've got some work to do. Been kind of slow there. Football is a little more going on. I also think though that like for whatever reason, football players are way more about like posting their offers
They
with like
really are.
logos. Like they just love that shit.
They eat it up.
They do, man. Like
Then all their
guys are
boys
in the
quote tweet it. All their boys quote tweet it with the exclamation mark emojis, and they're like, "That's a dog right there. Go get my dog."
and then like the screenshot of them like officially being in the portal as if we wouldn't believe them when they told us they're entering the portal, where it's like I'm entering the portal, and then
Bro,
it's like, Look, now I'm in."
that has confused me so much in this transfer. Like, because on Tuesday,
Yeah.
all of them were tweeting that they were entering the portal. Yesterday, on Wednesday,
Yeah.
all of them tweeted again that they
And I
were
was like, oh, it's the
officially in
same
the portal.
guy.
And I was like, crap, Marcellus Nash just entered the portal, man. And then I
I was
checked our
like,
tracker
oh,
and I was like,
yeah.
oh, Bennett's already got that one.
Yeah, oh, he's been in the portal.
There was
Yeah,
another
it's
play, like
confusing.
Blake Griffiths,
Oh yeah, that
Brett
dude's
Griffiths.
Brett Griffiths. We didn't even know his name. Brett Griffiths has been in the portal for like months. That he wasn't with the team. He broke his arm or whatever, and then he like wasn't with the team. We've known he's been in the portal since like the winter, and then he posts a screenshot that he's in the portal.
And I was like, what? And then I was like,
And
oh
I was like,
yeah.
oh wait, yeah, you haven't been on the team for like 6 months.
Huh. Anyways,
Portal's hilarious.
so just keep it up. You can check out the latest of transfer portal tracking at jmusportsnews.com. It's pinned to the top of the page. Apologies for all of the pop-up ads, but we have to pay the hosting fees somehow. So, um, bear with us through the pop-up ads. If you want to
Yeah.
support us and advertise, shout out. We've got a new partnership coming up in the football season, but they were
Yeah.
awesome in getting us set up with a tablecloth and some awesome decals as well.
Hmm.
Bennett doesn't have any of the decals because again, he didn't show up.
That's right. I didn't show up.
He he flaked. Just kidding. Sign Pro over in Harrisonburg. They're going to be a partner coming up in football season, but they hooked us up with a great tablecloth and some decals and stuff like that. So thank you to them. But if you also want to advertise and support the show, you can do that through Buy Me a Coffee. If you go to buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News, you can support directly there. And you can also support by emailing us at jmusportsnews@gmail.com, inquiring about any advertising packages, and we can send you all of the information you want. And yeah, that was some housekeeping stuff in the middle of the podcast. But do you have anything else? Lacrosse one.
Lacrosse one. Looks like the Dukes have just offered Isaiah Alston. This is a guy that they have been on before. This is good to see. Football wide receiver. So he was offered in December by the Dukes, and then he ended up committing to Iowa State back in the portal. JMU offers him again.
You know, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
We've talked about him in the portal. He's that Army receiver who averaged like 900 yards of reception. Like he would
Very.
catch it, he would score, and then he'd go into the tunnel and he'd
Oh, I
find
thought he just turned
another
around.
field
I
locally.
thought he would turn around and just run the length of the field.
So we'd love to get him, Isaiah Alston, you know, dog.
Dog. Your final tweet that you tweeted about JMU beating Liberty in lacrosse, that was a dog tweet.
So, thank you. Did you see the Liberty fan replied with a lacrosse score?
Yes.
I thought that one. So he actually, I was wrong. Let me give Isaiah Alston his props here. We offered him last year, so he played his season with Iowa State, 2 catches, 52 yards.
Whoa.
Again, he loves long catches, and then he's back in the portal. So this will be, yeah, I don't know how that worked. I guess he must have technically redshirted last year because 2020 doesn't count. This will be his 6th year of college football, but I guess he has eligibility. He's good. I'm excited about that one. We'll see if they get him 6'4", 205. You know how I am about guys with any sort of height at any position.
It's because you don't have any.
Yeah, at 5'11", anytime I see like a 6'4" receiver, I'm like, well, he's probably going to be the best player in the conference because he's 6'4".
You're 5'11"?
5'11", yeah, 5'11 and a half, 5'11 and three
That
quarters.
it takes a lot of you to say 5'11" instead of 6 foot. A lot of
I
people would
know.
round up.
I said that once as a joke to Caroline, like, oh, I'm 5'11 and three quarters, like, like small man syndrome kind of thing.
Yeah.
She repeated that to her parents. Just an absolutely horrible look for me. I was like, no, that wasn't serious. That can't be passed along.
He said, I'm not really 5'11" and 3/4. I'm 5'11" and a quarter.
He's 5'11 and three quarters, he says. Like he's got it. If I keep stretching, I'll get there.
I can finally ride all of the rides at King's Dominion.
So Isaiah Alston, keep an eye out for that.
6'4".
6'4".
Some
And
say
just like
some are saying 6'4 3/4.
the man has never had more than 22 catches in a season because Army, but like was averaging like 20 yards a catch like pretty much every year he's been. 2023, he was averaging 29.6 yards a reception.
Look, if you pair him up with Zeron Collins, their averages about to be insane.
You're gonna have smoke, and then you're gonna have
Glass.
I was gonna say like fire or something. But yeah, we're gonna have smoke and glass. Why is he glass?
I
Is he
don't know
injury
why.
prone?
I don't know why I thought glass, smoking
What
glass,
about gas?
smoking gas. There we go. You're smoking that gas.
Yeah, there we go. This is the worst podcast we've recorded in a month.
I don't know what you mean. I think that's one of our best podcasts we've recorded in months.
We got listener questions though. We should go to
Oh,
those.
yeah, that should have been what took you so long to get here?
I wanted to talk about Isaiah Alston. Also, I searched JMU offer or JMU offered or James Madison offer in
Yeah.
the like X search bar so much during portal season. It's just like every 10 minutes, I'm like, and then I see a graphic from a new player. I'm like, look, yes, that's why we do it. That's what we do it for. Also, shout out to Lee Corso going into retirement.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, listener questions. I pulled them up. First one was from Nicholas Freeman. Do we have any transfers coming to JMU or apply to that one with the portal? And they're like, I don't want to look because there's so many guys who have left. It makes me sad. So maybe give it a week or two and then check into the portal tracker for some more additions. Okay, but from our guy, Bill Papp, what kind of NIL/slash revenue share money in generalities? I hate that freaking word. Will it take for JMU to be competitive or near the top of G5 for football/slash basketball? And what issues may arise across the landscape when/slash if players make more than coaches?
And he said, "Can we get Hitchler a bookstore hat?"
That was pretty good.
I mean, Hemphill loved his bookstore hat. So, what kind of NIL revenue share money in generalities will it take for Jamie to be competitive or near the top of the G5? Um, I talked about this on Fits the Bill on ESPN Richmond because I was talking about revenue sharing and someone called in and they were like, well, there's not a lot of revenue to share. Like when it comes to the group of five side, they're like, you kind of lose money when you're a G5 school in football and things like that, which is valid. So a lot of the money from the power conference schools come from their media rights deals, giving
Yeah.
them millions. So in the terms of revenue sharing money, in generalities, what will it take for JMU to be competitive at the top of the G5? They just got to get a better media rights deal with the Sun Belt, which requires them if JMU or a team from the Sun Belt makes the college football playoff, that's really big for them. If they're able to win some more NCAA tournament games, make the NCAA tournament, JMU or anyone from the Sun Belt,
Mhm.
that will help media rights deals. This is one of the times where you got to think like rising tide lifts all ships, and you need the Sun Belt to all rise. You can't have the ULMs dragging you down like you were, well, like they are. You have to have all of the ships in cohesion rising up, and that's the best way to increase your revenue sharing money, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think the DNR reported that Roan was, or there were reports, maybe they were citing some other reports, but Roan wants JMU to be toward the top of the G5 and was there was a number in there. It was like $5 to $7 million annually instead
Yeah.
of 20. So I don't know if you're pushing 10, I feel like you're in a pretty good spot.
Where that money comes from, that is a good question because it's not
Not
like,
student fees, so it's going to be a lot of like donations and other revenue sources, concessions, ticket sales, and then obviously the TV money's
yeah.
the big one.
So, like that question, Bill.
Great
Mads
question.
Mads asked, regarding the men's basketball team, do we see Xavier Brown staying at JMU and him pulling the same move as he did last year?
I don't. I don't think so.
I do not think he does, unfortunately. I think he
Yeah, I don't
gone.
know how well he fits in like what Spradlin's trying to do necessarily.
Well, he got in fights with the coaches.
That's probably not great.
I mean, he was benched, and if Mark Freeman wasn't late for practice that one time, probably because he has a
Right.
newborn child, Xavier Brown was never sniffing the starting five again.
Yeah. No no excuses for the fathers apparently.
All right, Zachary Baker, which is never mind. Zachary Baker, after seeing both in action at the spring game, is Jack still sticking with Coleman to be the starter at week 1? So I unfortunately was not able to attend.
We didn't see any of this.
No one even knows what they did. The most info we didn't even talk about this. The most dang information we got about this spring game was the dang colors that the offense and defense were wearing. I don't give a rat's tail about what color is being worn by which team. I want to know the stats of it all. And I would assume the media was told they were not allowed to report or take any stats by hand because we didn't see any come out of it. which
Yeah.
is which is the biggest waste of time. So, with all that being said, Coleman started week 1.
Yeah, here was the press release from JMU. Compete has been a staple for James Madison football since the arrival of head coach Bob Chesney, which I like this line a lot personally, as if like under Signetti they like didn't compete. Like the team that was like probably the best group of five team in 2023, just like didn't get after it in practice. And the three compete periods proved to be the difference in Saturday's spring game, as the offense snuck past the defense 40-38 at Bridgeford Stadium. In a game decided by just 2 points, the offense won two of three compete periods worth 5 points apiece. The spring game featured three touchdowns and three made field goals for the offense, which wore
No,
white jerseys.
no mention of who scored them, who threw
Right.
them. No mention of anything.
The defense, which donned the home purple jerseys, took an early lead thanks in large to three first quarter sacks. The
No mention of
defense
who had the sacks.
the defense finished with 7 sacks, a
No
pair of
mention of who had those 7
a
sacks.
pair of fourth quarter interceptions,
No
and two.
mention of the interceptors.
And they added some stuff toward the end. So like Ruelas hit a 51-yard field goal and a 46-yarder.
I'm
Freshman
shocked. I'm shocked that they put that information in the press release.
Blake Kendall had a 2-yard touchdown run. Jackson McCarter, a freshman running back who's probably like running back six, had two touchdowns. So like quarterback six got into the end zone, running back six got in the end zone twice. Right? It's just not helpful for trying to see what the team will do next year. So I guess kicking pretty good.
So
And
I'm
Justin Eaglin had an interception.
I'm really bummed I didn't attend the spring game knowing that they weren't going to post any of the information from said spring game.
We don't know who he intercepted. We know he intercepted.
I got I got more, and this isn't a slight against the media because I think they were told they weren't allowed to report on anything. Like,
Probably.
yeah. Um I got more information from the JMU message boards talking about the spring game and Twitter replies about the spring game.
You had some interesting Twitter replies. about the quarterback
people
position.
didn't like Sluka. They thought Coleman looked good, but they thought Sluka showed why he has not a good arm. So like, I mean, yeah.
It's going to be an interesting quarterback battle.
I can't believe we got no information from the spring freaking game.
We got no information from the entire spring. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know. I know like which positions I think they think are the weakest based on who they're offering a bunch of scholarships to in the portal. But outside of that, I don't really know anything. Like how healthy is Io? I saw the Breeze did a story on him and his return. He um he hyperextended one of his toes last year and tore three ligaments in it.
Io did?
Yeah. So he had like major toe issues
Hmm,
and then I
interesting.
believe got surgery on those toes
Okay.
late September. He couldn't put any weight on his foot for 8 weeks. And now he seems to be doing better. But that's not ideal.
Not ideal at all. Um, so I'm
But
sure
at the
people
time, that was something he had played through, right? Remember how they had made it seem like he is used to the injury? He's used to having his toe ligaments torn.
do you
What?
follow the Coach Speak Index account on Twitter?
Yeah, I could.
We need a Coach Speak Index account that just does Chesney quotes because that man is the worst when it comes to anything injury related. Remember when he got mad at a reporter? I forget who asked the question. When he got mad at whoever was asking about Chauncey's status,
Yeah.
the starting cornerback who hadn't played in like 3 weeks after being set after Chesney said it was a very minor injury and they expect to have him back next week.
There's literally a quote in this story, the kicker. I've had injuries before, but this one was different. Like the exact opposite of what we were told during the season.
Yeah, because Chesney said after the was it Gardner Webb game where Chesney said this is an injury he's had and he's had to manage most of his career. And
It's
then I think
not
when
true at
which
all.
I guess is just not right.
It's not what he's saying, even a little bit. So apparently the story says he put two shoes on for the first time, like near the bowl game.
Wow.
And now he's in spring practice, putting reps on and pushing it. So
His toes must have been cold.
yeah, I'm sure he was just going barefoot like in the winter and stuff too.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Last question here from Duke Dog Burner. Why have these players entered their name into the portal before the annual name?
This one got me yesterday.
I was not expecting that. All right, sorry. Why have these players entered their name into the portal before the annual name game and pool party? Don't they know what they're missing out on?
Feel like every month he asks us a question that just destroys me.
This is great podcasting. Just us cracking up on the mic.
That's a good point, though. I wonder if that was brought up to them at all. The fact that there be a pool party.
Look, Ymir, I know you want more money, but what if we told you there's a pizza party and a pool coming in a couple of months?
I think the part about the pool party that's the best is that it's just like a community pool on a day that it's open. Like it wasn't like blocked off. Like they were just hanging out with people at a pool. You know what I mean? Like they didn't like reserve it for the team or
It wasn't
anything. It
like
was it was just
UREC
like
where they have a very
no, it
nice
was
pool that
just
they could just rent
just
out
a community pool. Like they just went together on to a pool thing.
the last day of practice
Yeah.
while all playing the name game. Do you think they like stood on the edge of the pool and they had to name every player? And then if they got it wrong, they got to get pushed in.
I did love the storylines last year where it was like these guys know each other, these guys love each other. It's nothing like the Signetti era. And then fans were like, love it, cool, awesome, 4-0, this rules. Then they lose.
Whatever Bennett was saying was probably fantastic. Great insight from Mr. Conlon on that one. But unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, we did lose Bennett right here at the end of the podcast. So we'll wrap things up. Thank you for sticking with us through this entire podcast. Very up and down. Was a weird one, but hey, it's transfer portal silly season. So you're going to get some silly podcasts here and there as well. For Bennett Conlon, I've been Jack Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for tuning into the JMU Sports News podcast. If you feel so inclined, inclined, we would really appreciate it if you head to buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News to support the podcast directly. And you can also email us jmusportsnews@gmail.com if you're interested in advertising on the podcast. Just shoot us an email. We can get you some data. We can get you some analytics, and we can show you some of the things that we offer in terms of advertising. We want to work with you, and just shoot us an email, jmusportsnews@gmail.com. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at JMU Sports News, and you can check out our home on the web, www.jmusportsnews.com. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll likely be off next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks with more JMU news and notes and everything in between. See ya.